Hey, what is up guys? It's your boy Speed here, and today I'm going to be running you guys through Yuragi's Bristleback carry. This is a carry I think is going to be very prevalent in this meta, and the reason why is we're seeing a lot of Visage, we're seeing a lot of Lycan, we're seeing a lot of Beastmaster, Enigma. A lot of units are popping up, especially at the highest level of Dota. So what do you respond with? Well, Sven isn't that good, so what is another hero with good AoE physical damage to deal with these units that generally have built-in magical resistance? Because if you don't know, Eidolons, Enigma's Eidolons, take like no magical damage. Lycan's Wolves take like no magical damage. And as a result, you need physical early on into the game to kill them. So Bristleback is one of the best responses in the game. On top of that, he's a natural Vanguard buyer, which of course does quite well against units. And his AoE Ags, right, the goo being an AoE ability when he gets the Ags, is quite good against these units as well. Also, I want to tell you guys that if you've been struggling with solo queue and you're looking to get to the next rank, I'm going to be able to help you. Like, literally, with the gameleap website, I'm going to give you guys guides that are going to make it unbelievably clear on what you need to do. So if you've been stuck in the solo queue grind, you don't know what to do, and you want to become absolutely broken, but like actually you want to become much better at Dota, and you want to take it more seriously, the gameleap website is going to help you do that. So click the link down below, I'm going to help you get to the next rank, and I'll see you there. Bristleback is honestly one of the most buffed carries as of late. This hero has been buffed over and over again. The cast range of Viscous Nasal Goo was increased. The release threshold on Bristleback was reduced, which is a good thing. Basically, you quill more when you get hit in the back. And then on top of that, I'm pretty sure Warpath, not in the recent patch, but over time has been buffed multiple times. I can tell you for a fact that the max stacks at level 1 was at least 5 at some point. Now it's 6, and you might be like, oh my god, it's just +1. That's an extra 25 damage. It's very significant. And so this hero literally has been buffed multiple times, and I think it fits very well into the meta. So let's talk about Bristleback. In terms of starting items, I love what Yuragi does here. I think a lot of players are way too afraid to buy mangoes, while on Bristleback, it's just the most important item. The reason why is you desperately need the burst mana regen in the lane. You absolutely need it. And then on top of that, you really want the HP regen as well. Your hero does have pretty bad base HP regen, and so this really helps out with that. Now, in terms of your early laning, what you really want to do is abuse the quills as much as you can. Essentially, most players don't use them enough early on. How they see quills is I'm either using them for kills or I'm not using it at all. What we'll see Yuragi do here is actually just quill the wave with the Tusk, and what that allows him to do is burst the range creep. As you see there, he can kill the range creep from half HP only because he had already previously quilled it. And as time goes on, because he's built up a few quills, if he needs to, he can then continue to quill for CS. In this case, he does actually end up doing it in the later portion of the wave as well. And in terms of other early items you buy, the only real one you buy outside of your starting items is a stick. Outside of that, you should be basically rushing a Ring of Health every single lane because once again, your hero has sustain issues. One thing I do want you guys to note as well is that Bristleback is really not that good of a hero when it comes to manning up. Also, I do want to mention the skill build. He goes 1-2-1. He took the Viscous Nasal Goo at level 4 and the Bristleback at level 2. Basically, this depends on the lane. If your position 5 is a lane dominator like Undying, you could take Viscous Nasal Goo at level 2 and look to synergize with something like Tombstone to get an early kill. That works incredibly well, as Goo is actually one of the best level 1 abilities in the game, being a base 15% movement speed slow. I think it used to be 20. However, in a lane like this, he's with a Zeus, and he's laning against a Dawnbreaker. So it's like, okay, you're against one of the best laners in the game with a relatively weak laning support in Zeus. So yeah, it's definitely better for him to take his E. Now, the next thing I do want you to note is in this engagement, Misha's gonna get gone on the Zeus. And notice how he doesn't really hardcore man up. And honestly, the reason why is you should really be focused on CS. The majority of your damage is just simply gonna be through your quills, and you don't really man up well. Like, I can't stress this enough. Your hero, it doesn't really trade head-on too well. While it is very good at building up the quill stacks, once again, the key to a good Bristleback is staying near the creep wave and spamming the quills on the wave so your CS stays incredibly high while putting pressure. Don't chase the enemy very much, otherwise you will fall behind. Now once you hit 6, this is when you can jungle very efficiently. So if your lane happens to be pretty bad, maybe you're against a Razor or something of the sort. Actually, if you're against a Razor or Viper, guys, you can literally jungle at like level 3. I'm not just saying that, you can. Obviously, I would not recommend it. That is a last resort for sure. But as we'll see here, he is going to jungle. And, you know, he was having a bit of a difficult lane. And you can see it's very efficient. As long as you quill 2 camps together, which you can easily do on Dire, a little bit more difficult on Radiant. But if you're on Dire, you can definitely jungle a bit early on into the game. On Radiant, you should try to stay on the lane as long as you can. Obviously, you still can jungle. It's just not nearly as efficient. On top of that, his follow-up item is going to be Soul Ring. Now keep in mind, your items are going to vary per game. Generally, the way you should be looking at it is if your lane isn't that good or your game isn't that great, then you need to be getting this Vanguard Soul Ring as soon as possible. These are the items that are going to allow you to jungle. It's that simple. However, if your lane is going extremely well, you can actually double down on trying to win your lane with your level 6 spike. Your hero can actually snowball lanes. And when you get your level 6, you can buy boots and you can go for an extra mango, right? Just to kind of help out with the mana regen problems or mana sustain problems you will inevitably have. So yeah, this is basically how you should look at this hero. On top of that, if you get really lucky, you'll get a chip vest and then you're extremely strong. So one play that really worked out for Yuragi in this game as well is a rotation to the bot side of the map that he made. Now, to be fair, OG kind of just cleaned up the fight before he even did anything. He did just steal the kill on Puck, but at the end of the day, this rotation is nice, and the reason why is he was, once again, not having the best of early games. It's not like poor by any means because this hero jungles so quickly, but this rotation is really nice because if you can manage to get the enemy safe lane tower, what it's going to allow you to do is farm, right, their side of the jungle, their side of the map, and then your triangle. And this is absolutely the best part of the map to farm as Bristleback. You should almost always rotate into this portion of the map. Now, keep in mind, there is an exception to this. The exception to this, and this is a little bit hard to know and hard to remember. We're going to advanced concepts here. But if you dominate your lane and you are against something like Beastmaster and you destroyed that guy, you can stay in your lane, right? You could stay here, farm this, farm this, farm this, and then rinse repeat, and you can defend your tower for an extended period of time. However, if you're going to do that, I recommend you do it for about 9 to 10 minutes, and you ask your support, specifically your position 4, to stack Ancients for you, so that around the 10-minute mark, you can then rotate out of your lane for, you know, just kind of forgetting about your tower and go to take Ancient stacks, because you really do want to take Ancient stacks to enable this hero. If you never take Ancient stacks, you will be missing out on the majority of the potential for this hero to flash farm. And I really mean that. As we'll see here from Yuragi, he's going to jungle it up a little bit, right? Cleans up this side of the map. But because the wave is pushed in so far, he's now going to jungle backwards, as we saw, from this camp to this camp to this camp, now into his triangle, and look to, you know, farm up these 2 camps, which you can drag together and should drag together. Always make sure that you have your back turned to the Ancients, generally as long as you can, and you will eventually farm both of these camps quite quickly. And yeah, this is the power of Bristleback. Your hero just wipes through jungle camps with very little issues of sustain, especially if you manage to get a chip vest. But after he takes the Ancients, you will now notice that the bottom side of the map opens back up, right? As we'll see here, bottom side of the map pushes back in, Yuragi makes the natural rotation back to the bottom side of the map and starts to clean up the wave. And funny enough, Yuragi actually does something I really didn't expect him to do this game. He defends mid tower, or tries to. Unfortunately, you know, that doesn't end up going too well. But after that, he cleans up the mid wave. Keep in mind, he had already farmed the Ancients. You know, you can see here, I'm gonna actually play this for you guys. This is pretty important. You can see he kind of considers going back to the triangle here, right? You'll see he takes a step to the right. He's like, okay, I'm just gonna go farm the Ancients. Then he sees that Gaming Gladiators are roshing. And instead of even bothering to kill the mid wave, because it's 15-12, every good player at this level will know that the mid wave is, right, coming into, you know, the mid. And so they would rotate mid. That would be the other option. But what he does is he actually looks to take a top fight, right? BCM gets gone on as is Tiny, and you'll see he just runs up here. Definitely not what I would have expected, but Bristleback definitely is very strong at this point in the game, and I think they were able to get a kill onto Durachio's, you know, Dawnbreaker, which was largely because he got that goo off. So a huge play from Yuragi that I definitely wouldn't have personally made. But do keep in mind that this rotation, this decision to fight, is based off of essentially Gaming Gladiators really forcing the issue. I don't think he would have rotated top if they had a defensive map setup. If Gaming Gladiators were not forcing any issue, if they weren't forcing Roche and going on his Tiny, he would have just went back to the triangle and continued to farm his Ags. And you should do the same. But if the enemy is diving your towers and taking Roche, you're pretty strong with Treads, which is why I love this Treads. A lot of people go Brown Boots, not a fan of it. I think the attack speed from Treads is really crucial considering you get damage from Warpath. I just feel like when you get, raw damage, you want attack speed to synergize with that. And so I don't get why people don't buy Treads in most games. I think it's like wildly powerful on this hero. I even think that most of the time you should be fighting on Agi Treads if you're not in threat of dying to get that extra 10 attack speed. So now once again, we're going to see the type of play that really separates Yuragi from, I would say, your average carry player. Not something I would expect, but they find Dyrachyo on the bottom side of the map. They clearly think he's out of position, and you can see the Slaughter minus armor with the Bristleback is just a wild amount of damage, and they're nearly able to chase down the Dawnbreaker. But most importantly, they get vision of two heroes, kick them out of the bottom side of the map, and even set up for this future dive. Now, obviously this play is wildly risky, and I would only recommend making a play like this if you have very clear backup from your teammates, as, Amar ends up falling as a result of this, and he has an Aegis. Now, keep in mind, usually you're actually gonna get Roche after your Ags, and that is your main timing. First Aegis plus Ags is generally when Bristleback hits one of his first major spikes. In this game, he got it beforehand because of some weird circumstances, but keep in mind, this is when you go ham. When you get this Ags, you want to look to push in the wave and generally siege down some sort of tower with your first Aegis. So, obviously, you should take Roche when you get Ags. This is what I'm trying to tell you. And when you have this timing, this is exactly what you want to do. 18 minutes into the game, he's going to get his Ags off Courier here, and now your hero is insane because you can goo and build Warpath stacks without stopping, which is like why this Ags is so good. The AoE goo is insanely good as well, but it's largely for the fact that you don't have to stop moving. You might be like, oh, surely that's not that big of a deal. Come on. No, it is. Like, it really, really is. And yeah, he's going to look to chase down the puck here, just clubs him down, currently hitting for 300 damage at this point in the game. And yeah, this is the Bristleback classic. You reduce the enemy's armor, and then you hit them for 300. On top of that, my god, dude, Yuragi got so lucky with neutral items this game. I don't know what else to say. He got Chipped Vest as his first neutral item drop, and then his other first neutral item drop was Quicksilver Amulet, which I would argue is like the best item you can get on Bristle, because this hero is all about movement speed and attack speed, and that's what he gets. On top of that, he did take the 200 health at 15. Personally, I'm actually a bigger fan of taking the attack speed. As you can see, I really like attack speed on Bristleback. I think players slightly overvalue the health talent, and the reason why I feel that way is often I feel like the attack speed sort of is indirectly a health talent, because you're going to kill opponents faster and, prevent them from getting off their abilities and getting off spells. I don't know, I just feel like the attack speed's so freaking good with your ulti, but either way, he goes for the health talent, so you obviously can too. On top of that, he took his mana regen talent, which you generally will take every single game. And yeah, this is where you're going to see the dirtiness of Bristleback. If the enemies mess up and they don't burst you, or for instance, they go on one of your teammates and you can build up quills on all of them, things can get pretty disastrous pretty quickly. As we'll see in this team fight here, they go on BZM. Nice bait from BZM. I like how confident he is, just kind of believing in his teammates to clean up. He understands as the Tiny, he's not the 1v9. He needs to just be the guy who sets up, but yeah, just quill onto 3 heroes. Now going to be quill onto 4 heroes, and they have to get out. Like, it's as simple as that. They have to get out. Because if they don't, well, yeah, you get hit by 458 auto attacks. And by the way, Dyrachyo is not squishy. He's just amped up. Like, he's quite high in armor. Phase Boots, Broom Handle, Soul Ring. But he's amped up by the Slaughter. Pretty cool draft from OG as well. The minus armor with the Bristleback. Another cool strategy that I saw Gaming Gladiators do, unfortunately they lost, was the Alchemist Bristleback, with Alchemist giving Bristleback and Ags. I will say I think what they did wrong is I think they doubled down on it a little bit too hard. I think when you do this strategy with this Alch, I think the Alch should actually go scaling items. I know I'm getting a bit off tangent, but This is something I'm passionate about. I think the Alk should actually still go like Radiance into Blink into BKB, and then after the BKB, you give the Bristleback and Ags. And I think the reason why that's better is because even though it's very greedy, and you might be like, oh, it takes up a lot of space, farming the Ags takes up a lot of space anyway. And then you have this Alchemist that's just completely worthless and really can't farm and push in waves very effectively. So I don't know. I'm just a bigger fan of having the Alk farm 2 or 3 items and then go into the Ags, instead of something like an AC to enable the Bristleback. Or you can even just have an Alk that scales and then get the Bristleback going anyway. It is very greedy, so I think it's a bit of a hot take, but you know, there's potential here. And yeah, in terms of items, this is the build that I recommend you guys go every single game. You just go for BKB. Don't be a psycho, please. Like, so many people are gonna be like, oh, but speed, I'm so tanky. I'm just gonna buy an Eternal Shroud. It's like, great. And then you get movement speed slowed. You get Malefist, Enchanted, Dream Coiled. It's like, you just get kited so hard. Like, all you need is a BKB so you can click it, walk up to the Dawnbreaker, and insta-killer. Like, just please buy a BKB. After the BKB, you almost always go AC, nice mix of attack speed and armor. Bristleback has some major armor issues. You can see right now he only has 11 armor 24 minutes into the game. Thankfully, the enemy team has very limited physical damage. This is honestly like such a good Bristleback game. Like, they have very few answers to Bristle. The major answer they have is like a potential Spirit Vessel from Enigma and Midnight Pulse, but he didn't go that route. So they just don't have much. They really have like almost nothing. All right, and that's gonna be about the end of the video. We're gonna see Yuragi go up the high ground here with his second Aegis, which also gave him the shard. It's pretty nice. Bristleback has a solid shard. If you don't know what it is, it's an AoE ability, a huge AoE ability that applies 2 quill stacks to whoever it hits and a stack of the Viscous Nasal Goo. So basically, it's really good at bursting down enemies with your quills. Not a priority on right-click Bristleback, so I wouldn't prioritize it too much. But as we'll see here, just gonna chop through Duraccio. My God, I can't believe they didn't save Duraccio there. I don't know. Someone didn't cast something. I'm not sure. But either way, yeah, this game's coming to a wraps. Looking to one-shot the Enchantress. Doosh! Get him! Oh! He hit him for 900. Oh my God. And yeah, so I really think this hero is going to be a very consistent response to, to Visage, to Lycan, to Beastmaster, to Enigma, and these types of drafts. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace!
And that's all, but remember, before you leave, before you tune out, subscribe to the GameLeap website where we are going to help you get to the next rank. If you're stuck, click the link down below, and I'm out. Peace.